I have a whole stack of eyeshadow palettes that have gotten 1 or 2 uses, and I want to include them in future rankings, but I need to use them more before I can do so, because once or twice, unless it's a very small palette, it's not really enough to get a fair representation of the palette itself. So anyway, these are 2 of the palettes that have been in that stack for a little while. I have used these off camera several times. I've only used them on camera once each. These are Snow Moon and Wolf Moon from Raine, and today I'm going to be putting them together to do an eyeshadow look so that I can just finish off my thoughts about these 2 palettes. I've already primed my eyes with the Glamlight Icing Primer in the shade White Frosting. Everything I'm using is linked below in the description box. I do have an Raine playlist, and without further ado, let's go. I tried a new blush application today. This is the Floral shade from Colored Raine. I've seen somebody doing a tutorial, and then later I watched a short or video, and I noticed that the woman was wearing the blush in the style of that tutorial, and that's basically where the blush was carried down under the eyes and slightly over the nose. Now you guys know that I put on very little blush, if any, but I did use this and I did put it in that application style. So let me know if you can see that. Is it something that's evident? I mean, I know it's really, really subtle. We know this. I'm not going to put like heavy blush on. It's just not my style, but I definitely see some color here and then over here. So I think it's fine. It seems to, I don't know if the blush changes the visual effect or shape of the face when it's applied in such a light quantity, but I tend to put it like this, and today I carried it further through. It just seems to add a little bit of a different look. I don't know. I like it. Tell me what you think, if you can even see it. So let's do a quick overview of these 2 palettes. We have Snow Moon from Raine, and this is the one. These two shadows right here are actually in my BYOP, where I was mimicking the color story of the Cosmic Brushes The Lovers palette. I don't remember which one's which, but I'm almost completely sure that Polar Petal is a very light pink and Frozen Aura is a very light gray, I think. And then we've got the Wolf Moon palette, which is complete. You can see that the mattes on this palette are a little bit more, I won't really say warm because they're not warm. I guess less gray based. Let's hold them next to each other like this. Less gray based. These mattes are warmer leaning, even though they're not really that warm. We've got pink and reddish tones here. This one obviously has the dark blue matte, and it has this really cool winter halo shade, which is very, very, very striking. I have decided not to keep both of these palettes because I think that they're close enough that I don't need to keep both of them. So when I review which one I want to keep, I'm leaning towards this one right here, mainly because I found that the Polar Petal shade wasn't very good. I've used better mattes from Blend Bunny, I've used better mattes from Raine, from ColourPop. This was not an impressive shade. Maybe I got a dud. The other reason I'm thinking of not keeping it is because this is a gorgeous silver. I never use silver. I just don't really care about like a true silver or a true gold. I mean, I can incorporate them, but I just never want to. I just never want to. And I have other Raine palettes that can also give me silvery tones, or like Cold Moon, or even this palette right here, you get silver that's leaning. It's got a little bit of a shift, like maybe a pink leaning silver, or a blue leaning silver, or a purple leaning silver. So it's not just silver. This is just silver, and it is incredible. But I just know that I'm not going to use it. Also, I never use navy blues. I have lived so much of my life thinking that navy blue was like my color. And now in my mid-30s, I'm like, navy blue does absolutely nothing for me. It does not pop on my skin. It makes me look haggard, makes me look weary. I pretty much avoid it at this point. So again, this palette having the navy blue matte, I know I'm not going to use it. There was actually one more thought I had about these 2 palettes. They both have a purple, like a darker purple shimmer. Now in the palette I'm planning on passing along, Snow Moon, it is this one right here. Well, somehow it got onto my hand. How, I do not know. It's a beautiful purple shimmer, but it's not the most exciting thing to me. Whereas in the Wolf Moon palette, the purpley shimmer is this one, which is a purple silver shimmer. And it's a different texture. It's more flaky and thick and opaque than the other one, which feels like the Raine version of a more traditional shimmer. But it's Raine's version, so no way is it a traditional shimmer. It's super impactful anyway. It's just not quite as stepped up as their thicker, flakier shades. This one is just more interesting. I do have a palette pull-in. This is Margarita palette from Glamlight Cosmetics, and this is my palette pull-in. I could see incorporating this today, so if I remember to, I probably will. We'll see. I'm sparkly now. Let's start off with an inner corner highlight. I think I mentioned that I'd primed my eyes. I'm gonna take the shade Howling Wind from Wolf Moon and put that here It's right on the edge for me as a, lots of kick up, lots of kick up. It's right on the edge for me as far as an inner corner highlight. It's almost not highlighting. You can see it has enough of an undertone and base that it's like, it's there, but it's almost too dark to be a highlight for me. So it's a little bit of a, I don't know, is that a cast or something, working with my bone structure and shadows and stuff, plus the undertones of my skin. Anyway, we're just gonna start with this and go from here. I'm gonna take a little Stealthy from Wolf Moon and a little Lunar Rose from Snow Moon. Just dip into both of them at the same time and lay them through my crease. Lunar Rose is a lovely rosy tone, kind of mid-tone rose, and Stealthy is a bit darker, more of a brown-based purple color. I'm not doing any kind of gradient, I'm just using them together, the same amount both times. Dip into the pan, dip into the other pan, go on the eye. All right, let's deepen a bit with Shiver from, do you guys have any of these palettes? Do you have anything at all from Raine? I had a bunch of Raine palettes given to me, and the quality is undeniable. In fact, the 2 videos that I made with these 2 palettes, it was 2 looks per palette in dedicated videos. Those videos are some of the most highly viewed on my entire channel, out of hundreds and hundreds of videos, because most of the time I get older palettes that most people don't care about. But these 2 were pretty new on the market when they were sent to me by a viewer. Tell me if you have these palettes and what you think of them, or if you have anything else from Raine, what your favorite is from the brand. Okay, so now as far as shimmers, I think that these palettes are slightly redundant. They're beautiful, they're really beautiful. But between these 2 and the Cold Moon palette, you probably would only need to have one, because they're all similar enough, like they're sisters. Maybe not twins, but they're sisters. So as I swatch these shades, I'm like, okay, well that's just so similar to most of the other options I have between these palettes. These are both in the Wolf Moon palette. This is Alpha Moon, and this is Moonlit Prowl. So do I want to go more bluey, or do I want to go more pinky? Or let's take the special shade that I said I would miss, Winter Halo. Not as flaky or thick as the other. This one has a smoother finish. Well, I don't know, Winter's Breath. Oh, that's pretty. Let's put Winter's Breath down. If you want to downplay the shimmers a little bit, then you can use a brush instead of a finger. I have a napkin in my lap, and I just laid this Winter's Breath shade down, and then I brushed off whatever excess was on my finger. And now I will take Winter Halo, which just is still here as a swatch, and pop it right on top in the center only. Just the center. Got a lot of textures going on there. And now I will go back into the shadow, stick, shade, brush, the brush that I used for Shiver, and meet those mattes with the shimmers a little bit. I've got a dry finger now, and I'm kind of just dragging this shimmer up a little bit, just so that some little flecks of sparkle get higher. I don't prefer, where did my brush go? I don't prefer a cut crease look, so I don't mind if my shimmer bleeds a little bit, just a little. Now with a small, denser brush, I'm gonna grab, I'll grab Stealthy again and do something on my lower lash line here, just a little bit. I feel like a lot of the videos that I've filmed lately have been more neutral leaning, today included. Have you noticed that? Or is it just me? It's not that I haven't done colorful looks, but they have recently been more like off camera, which I showcase in my While I Was Out videos. By the way, I just posted a While I Was Out, the 16th, with 13 new looks. So there's a whole While I Was Out series showing the looks I did off camera, talking about them. So check out that video if you're curious. There are several more colorful looks in there, greens and yellows and blues and reds. I just haven't done a lot of colorful looks on camera lately. Why, I couldn't quite tell you. Maybe I'm feeling more neutral when it comes to just sitting down and doing something. But today's outfit was kind of screaming for something more gray based. I'm gonna take just a whisper again of Winter Halo on the very tip of my finger and put it here on top of my inner corner highlight, just a little bit. Now there's something else that I wanna do. I don't know if it's gonna work, but I would like to do some dots along the lower lash line, just dots of really poppy, very reflective color. I think that if I just use a brush, the dots won't stay. I could, of course, do a smooth line and that would be fine, but I kind of want to do dots and I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm going to try. I happen to have lash glue because somebody gave me lashes. And I thought that if I put a little dabble of lash glue and then take the shadow and just sort of tap it right on top. So I'm going to take the shadow with the smallest brush I have, which is this tiny little fine blending brush. Which one do I want to use? I'm going to choose the shade Frosted Glow. Because again, I'm planning on passing on this palette, so I might as well have fun with it before it goes. This is Frosted Glow. So I'm gonna load up this brush and I guess just do a little dab of lash glue and then place the shadow on top of the spot. Let's see if it works. Okay, it worked, but I don't love it. I think the dots are too big. It might be better with much finer dots, or if I had like a really dramatic winged eyeliner or something. So I'm gonna go back into Frosted Glow, or just a little bit with this same brush, this small brush, and I'm just gonna smooth it all out along the lower lash line so it's more of a line. I can feel where the lash glue is sticking. It definitely worked. Okay, so I had some issues with that, and that's okay. I got a Q-tip into my coconut oil that I use for all my makeup removal, and I cleaned up my lower lash line the best that I could. That lash glue worked really well. So now my lower lash line's a little irritated. I took the original, just a soft blending brush, and I went back into Lunar Rose and Shiver and relined the lower lash line with shadow. Then I took a bit of Winter Halo and popped it a little more in the inner corner and also about this third or so or quarter of the lower lash line. And that's it. So I've got the dots going on out here, but not dotting the lower lash line. I think that really would look better if it were a more dramatic look with like heavy black liner, maybe a big wing, and also smaller dots. I think that the big dots weren't quite working. Anyway, you know, try things out. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I'm gonna finish off the other side and be right back to close out this video. I'm just realizing now that I did entirely forget my palette pull-in, so once again that didn't happen, but it's okay. I thought that this look was getting to be a lot, so I decided to play it safe with just black in my waterline and a little bit of mascara only on the outer half of the lashes. I'm wearing the Kaleidos, what's it called? Glossy Lip Glaze in the shade Hot Pursuit, and I already mentioned the blush. I think that's it for my, I took the Snow Moon palette and this shade again, which as I said is the one I would miss, and I used this as a face highlighter, so perhaps you can see that. There's a lot happening right here. These shadows are really, really intense. If you don't like this level of intensity, Raine as a brand is probably not for you. Just a quick recap overall. Starting with the fact that I wasn't completely sure when I did my second eye which shades I had used. I'd already forgotten, and I think that that's kind of the point between these two palettes because they're so similar and they have such comparable sister-like color stories. I could have dipped into different shades and gotten pretty much the same look. Same thing with the Cold Moon palette. A lot of the final looks are very, very, very similar. The only way, if you did a look or three with this palette and a look or three with this palette and put them side by side, I probably wouldn't be able to tell which one was which palette unless you had specifically used the dark blue in here and this reddish shade in here. Other than that, I think everything else is close enough. It's going to give you the same result, which again reinforces my thought that I don't need to own both of these, and particularly since I have and enjoy Cold Moon, and that one is a little bit more pinky mauve leaning on the whole. If I had created these palettes myself, if I were given these handful of shadows together and said, okay, make 2 palettes with these shadows, I think I would have done one palette that was the neutrals, you know, the gray and the brown mattes, and the gray, brown, more metallic-y shimmers. And then the other palette, I think I would have done the dark blue matte, the pinky mattes, the purple mattes, and that reddish matte, and done a more colorful version. Still very similar, still sister palettes, but different and unique enough that you can tell them apart. Because these are so similar, I struggle to tell them apart. There you go. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's eyeshadow look. Do tell me what you think. Tell me what you think of NZ Raine. Do you have any of their palettes? What do you love from them? Do you find that you have them but don't use them? Are they too much for you? Because there's a lot here. This is intense. I appreciate you so much for being here today. Thank you for clicking on my video and for giving me a piece of your day. Be sure to check my description box for lots of information, including playlists, other video suggestions. Maybe you want to consider liking and subscribing before you go as well. If you enjoyed today's video and you would like to see more, I tend to upload several videos a week, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.